Hey, dear listeners, thank you for tuning into the Cinematography Podcast interview with Nate Watkin. He's got a little special walkthrough tutorial now of Assemble.tv, and I know this is not something that we usually do, but it should be a fun and informative, brief, high-level overview of what you need to know about Assemble.tv, and I think if you watch this, you will discover the value of what they're offering. And don't forget that there is a Cinepod special discount code, which would give you a month free. Just make sure you enter that at checkout, CINEPOD, Cinepod. And without further ado, here's Nate Watkin.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'll just go ahead and get started, and feel free to chime in at any point with any questions. So this is the Assemble interface when you first log in. This is where you're going to have all the projects you're working on. One thing I want to take you through real quickly is the project setup, because it's kind of core to how Assemble is built. And so I'm just going to click new project here. Let's just say we're shooting a TV pilot for a new series. And you're going to go ahead and click Start New Project. And the first thing you're going to see is this setup screen where you add your phases. And this is really integral to the way Assemble works, because this is how you kind of build out your digital production binder, as we like to call it. So you can either add your own phases, let's say you've got budgeting, etc. You can pick a color for these. Or you can choose from some of our presets here. So, casting, location, shoot, edit, these types of things, really all up to you. And then you can easily drag and drop to reorganize these as needed, add more custom, whatever you need to do. And then once this is set up, you can go ahead and invite your team, click done, and your project is created. And as you can see here on the left, it's got this kind of production binder type of feel where you have all these phases broken out for each part of the production. And this gives you a lot of power in control of not only organizing your assets, but controlling who sees what and how everybody accesses this production binder. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a more fully built out demo project so I can show you a little bit more. So let's go ahead and jump in here. And so one of the first things I want to cover is the calendar, because we really wanted to build the best possible production calendar for our industry. Unfortunately, it's sad to say most people do calendars still in Google Docs, or even worse, in emails. And it's really because I don't think anybody in our industry can settle on iCal, Google Cal, or Outlook. Everybody uses something different. It's too hard to get everybody synced up on the same thing. So they end up just resorting to a spreadsheet or something like that. So we wanted to go out and solve that, along with a ton of bells and whistles. So each project has its own calendar, first of all. So you can click here, open a calendar. Simply click and drag anywhere to create an event. So, let's say we have a tech scout, for instance. And then you can attach these to a phase, like I showed you how we built those out. And I'll show you why this is important in a moment. But let's say this is part of the shoot. And then you can also create subtasks. So let's say we need to sign releases, and assign those to people on your team, set due dates, basically begin to create subtasks for those events. You can also add comments, tag people, check in, have conversations, see how things are going within the event as well. But so once that event is created, or once your calendar is created, a few features that I want to show you. Number one is that you can view in a month view, or you can also switch to a timeline view. And this is where you're going to see the phases. Wow. Yeah,
I know. It's a little mind-blowing, Ben. This is a very cool view right here, which gives you...
this is unbelievably helpful.
Yeah,
I can't believe... Yeah.
I know. It's like, where have you been all my life kind of moment. So.
I guess, again, working in editing, I'm so used to looking at timelines, and it's like, this is a timeline of my life.
Exactly, yeah. And so this is where the phases come into play. As you can see, your entire project, you can break down by phases and just see how this is all going to flow together. Up here, you can add key milestones as well at the top. These are, you can create them as emojis or just simply text to show big milestones coming up on your production calendar timeline. Some other cool features, we also have what's called bulk drag and drop. So as happens so often, you need to shift your entire calendar by 2 days. Rather than going in and manually changing every event, you can toggle on the bulk drag and drop. And then if I shift an event, so let's say I take this shoot or this tech scout and I drag it 2 days, everything else is going to snap to it. Everything after it is going to snap to it and also shift 2 days. So it allows you to really just bulk drag and drop your entire calendar all at once to make those quick overall changes.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
And
we gained a day. and then
sorry,
it's
go ahead.
done. No, I was just going to say that. Yeah. How often do you find out that you lost a day or gained a day, and then everything else would
Always.
have to be slid? Yes, always.
Literally every project.
Every project has that. And it's like, oh well, what happens if that talent isn't available for a week and we have to stop? Oh, okay. Well, here it is, and now it's done.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the final feature I wanted to show you is really solving that whole problem of how do you get everybody on the same calendar? Everyone's using a different calendar app. It's so hard to get everybody to agree on one thing. And we completely solved that. The way you do that is you click the share button. And what this is going to allow you to do is to create a publicly shareable link of your calendar that anybody can access, no login required. So you can add a password to it for security. So I just add a simple password here. And then you can go ahead and copy that link, send it to anybody. So let's say you want to send it in an email. Shoot it out to somebody. Let's act like I'm a logged out user now. You sent me this in an email. I click the link. It's going to take me to this page. All I have to do is enter a password if it's required. No account required, no login, no email, nothing. And I'm in the calendar. I can come in here. I can switch the views, see this timeline. I can even jump into these events, and I can even add comments. All I have to do is add my name. Oops, a little misspell there. And I can add my name, and I can actually jump in and join the conversation. No account required. And then from here, if I hit the sync button, I can sync this to Google, Apple, or Microsoft directly from this share link. And so what this does, is once you've shared this out to the rest of your team, anytime you come in here and you make an update, this is going to sync across everybody's calendars, regardless of if they have an Assemble account or not, and regardless of what calendar app they're using. So really just brings it all home into one centralized hub.
I have a question. So like let's say I'm using Google Docs calendars, or I'm using iCal, and I have a previous version of the schedule, and then you send me an updated one and I sync it. Is it going to delete all of the previous ones and change everything to what the current calendar is? Or am I going to now have like redundant, like if I had something that was supposed to happen today but it got pushed to next week, will it still be on my iCal today?
Well, even better, it'll update dynamically. So you would never need to resync that. Once it's synced once, any changes that are made within Assemble are going to automatically sync across those calendars right away. So
that's great.
Just gets everybody synchronized all in one place.
That's amazing. So if you're the producer and I'm working with you, and you change the calendar and I have synced my calendar once, and you make a change, it changes on my calendar without me even knowing that you did that, correct? Or do I have to go to the calendar?
Exactly. It'll sync automatically in the background.
Oh, wow.
So your calendar will be updated just as whenever this calendar is updated.
And it also then it's syncing then across your platforms too. So if you're on iCal, if you're on Google Calendar, if you're on Microsoft, doesn't matter. Everyone's always on the same page if they look at
That's
the
a
calendar.
big deal,
Yeah.
actually.
Correct.
I just want all my calendars to look like this now.
Yeah. And another cool view of this, actually, to segue, is if you jump out of this project and let's say you're working on a bunch of series, you're working on a bunch of commercials, whatever it is you may be working on, and you want to see a master view of everything. If you jump back out here to the main project dashboard and then click this calendar, this is your master calendar. That's going to show you all calendars for all projects. And the really powerful view is the timeline view of the master calendar, because what this is going to do is this is going to show you all of your projects stacked up against each other, and just kind of gives you that really high level overview that I think we're lacking a lot in this industry, to say, what is everything I'm working on? Where are the conflicts? And, where does everything stand? And it really just... Sorry,
I was just going to say, I think it's a really big potential cost savings too, because it's really hard if you're juggling multiple projects to synchronize some freelance contractors who are working across multiple projects. And now when you can look at it this way, you can if we bump this shoot one day, now we can get that same person to work on this job and this job and this job without conflicts. To me, this is really powerful. This is especially for people who have to manage a lot of shoots or content creation or whatever it might be at any given time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're continuing to add features to this around resource management and booking crew and things of that nature. So watch as this continues to become more powerful in the future as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so next I'll jump into asset management because this is really meant to be your hub for all of your assets, once again, from pre-production all the way through post-production and delivery. of final assets. So within each project, once you have your phases set up, these over here on the side basically act as folders where that you can organize all your documents throughout the entire shoot. So whether that's scripts, boards, contracts, whether that's locations, whether casting, edits, photo galleries, anything that you need to organize in here from pre through post can be added within these phases and organized. Now, some cool features about these phases and the way that you add files is we've actually added 3 unique ways to add files. And so if you click within a phase, click add up here, you'll see that you can add assets, galleries, and submissions. These are actually 3 very unique file types, and I'll just give a brief walkthrough of each. But an asset, number 1, is if you just want to upload an individual asset. So let's say you're uploading a cut of a project you just produced for feedback. That's just going to upload it as an individual asset. So this is an instance of that right here. So we have a video. This is just our standard video player here. And so a few things you're going to notice here. First of all is that if we play the video, number 1, you have the frame-specific commenting. So you can drop comments and they're going to drop directly on the timeline. You have version control where you can upload V1, V2, V3.
Oh.
And you can actually toggle between these versions, and each version is going to have its own feedback thread.
That is amazing. Oh my God. I mean, like, that's what you don't get on any of the other services that do this that I've seen. I mean, maybe they do, but I've never seen that before. Versioning is so amazing. It's so powerful because you can go, oh, there's something from version 1 that I liked, and you can go look at it and say, like, hey, can you bring that into version 3, whatever. That's brilliant.
Exactly, yes. You can always jump back to past versions. You can see the feedback that's been addressed. And we also, even within the feedback up here, if you click this check mark, you can mark feedback as completed. So it really allows you to just kind of see where every asset stands and really track the progress. As well, up here you have the approval status, so you can mark it as awaiting feedback, approved, or whatever that may be. So this is your individual asset. You can upload videos, photos, PDFs, any sort of individual asset and get these features. So the next feature I want to show you real quick is galleries. So galleries, we went back and forth a long time on this, but we ultimately ended up making galleries its own asset type because we just don't like Dropbox folders, to be honest. If you need to share 100 photos, we just think the experience of sharing, creating a folder, uploading those all is not a good experience. And so we added the gallery type, was actually its own self-contained asset. So this is actually a gallery right here. This is how it appears in your project. And when you open a gallery, it's going to have your gallery viewer, so you can jump between assets. And I should mention, you can add any type of assets together into a gallery. So it can be photos, videos, PDFs, even external links, all within a gallery. You can switch to a grid view here if you want to look at it more quickly. And then another cool feature is the ability to do selects. So as you can see here, each photo has a star. You can actually star photos if there's a selection process where you need to come in here and pick a certain amount of assets within that gallery. And at the top, we keep track of how many assets have been starred. And you can simply click this filter and it's going to filter by starred assets. So this feature is a little more friendly to the photographers, the process they're very familiar with, but really kind of helps you if you ever need to go through a select process with any sorts of assets. And so the final feature I want to show you is a really powerful feature that we've actually kind of innovated ourselves, which is called submissions. And submissions enables you to submit anything for approval in one self-contained asset type. And so I'll go ahead and click this to show you how it looks. But when you create a submission, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is create a spec. So this could be a role that you're casting for. It could be a location that you're looking for. It could even be, maybe a DP that the producer wants to hire a DP and they're submitting a couple different DP reels for consideration. But, let's just say, we're casting a mom. You can enter some specs, let's say, age, range, etc. Whatever you need to add into here, gender, ethnicity, whatever, anything that you want to add into that spec, you can add in this section, and then you can begin adding submissions. Submissions are their own self-contained gallery, and you can add as many as you want. So I'm going to jump out here and show you what this looks like when it's all finished. So let's say we go to the casting tab here. This is what a open submission looks like. So if I click in here, you can see that I've created a role. I've created a description of that role, and then I've uploaded all these submissions. If I open one of these up, as mentioned, it's its own gallery. I could have videos in here. I could have photos in here.
So if actors are sending you self-tapes, you could put the self-tapes there.
Exactly. Yeah, you can include their headshots, their self-tapes, anything within this. You can even include external links. So if they have, once again, their own portfolio website or something like that, people can come in here, leave comments, set the status, and basically manage this entire process within this, what we call submissions. Now, what's really cool about this, once again, is let's say you want to send this to a producer that's outside of the project, right? Somebody that doesn't have an Assemble account. Just like anything, I can choose to share a private review link, and I can basically create a link, once again, password protected if you want. Go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to, once again, pretend that I'm a logged out user. Somebody sent me this link in an email. I click the link. I don't have an Assemble account. It takes me here. All I do is enter the password. And what it's going to give you is this really clean presentation where this person can see the role. Once again, they can jump into any of these actors and start to look through them. When they set the status, they can either approve or they can create a shortlist. And so this shortlist feature enables you to kind of start filtering through. Let's say you send them, 50, 100 submissions. They can begin to build out a shortlist of their favorites. And then finally, once they've decided who their favorite is, they pick their favorite, they go ahead and approve, and then that role is marked as approved. All this without ever having to have an Assemble account. They never had to log in. They never had to enter their email, nothing. And when I jump back into the project, let me go ahead and refresh here. You're going to see this role is now marked as approved. If I go to the casting folder, this has now been marked as approved. So really powerful way to manage what can be a complex process of submitting, many submissions for one spec.
That's really, really brilliant. I'm thinking about it for a project that I'm doing that's an audio project right now, so I would be doing it with just audio files, no pictures, but it would work pretty much the same way, I assume, right?
Yeah, like a voiceover artist, you're looking to book a voiceover, exactly. You can use it for anything, interview subject. It's really modular, and that's how we've built this whole platform, is to be adaptable for anything you need it to do.
That's so smart.
I think that there's really tremendous value here in streamlining processes, especially ones that require a lot of people. Whenever you're working collaborative in a collaborative environment, or if you're a really small team and you just need to keep everything organized, this is a great way to stay away from paper, stay away from trying to shoehorn something in that wasn't designed for it. This was actually really designed for this process, and it's the only thing out there I think of that does it in this way, which is super intuitive. So
also a way to stay away from a snow flurry of emails and text messages and stuff like that, and keep everything concentrated in one place where all the communications about this can all happen in this one place.
Yeah, people set up their own email account just for a particular project, and I'm not saying that would entirely go away, but now your inbox probably would not be filled with all the stuff that you would then have to be going through and sorting and moving and everything else. Now it can live in a place that's actually designed for it, which is
just looking at this, better. I feel my blood pressure going down.
Yeah, and one thing we hear from our customers on that note, not only does it get you out of your inbox, but it also sends notifications whenever a new file is uploaded, new feedback. So you don't have to send those emails to people. Hey, I just left feedback, or hey, I just sent the latest update of this edit, or whatever that may be. But another great benefit is that for people that are in the project, whether that's a client or a studio exec or somebody, this is always the central point of truth. So whenever they want to know where does the project stand, where is it, they can simply log in here and see exactly where everything stands. They don't have to call you. They don't have to send you an email. Our customers love that. They can just direct their clients to the dashboard and just say, whatever's in here is the latest, update of the project, and you can always check on it at any time.
That's brilliant.
Okay, so let's say we got someone who we want to have access to part of this information, but not all of this information. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, we talked before about user permissions. Can you show us something about the user permission that Assemble.tv offers?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's so integral to the filmmaking and producing process. You have so many different teams, so many moving parts, and a lot of times you need to control who sees what and also who communicates with who. And so we've built that into our platform through the use of teams. Without going too deep into it, teams basically enable you to create teams for different groups of people. So this could be broken down by department. It could be something like the client or the studio exec team. It could be the editing or post-production team. And then utilizing these teams, you can provide access or revoke access to anything. So at a top level, within each phase, number one, you can actually just open these up and decide, okay, which teams have access to each of these individual phases. Let's say you want to keep certain departments focused on just their department. Maybe the casting department only needs to worry about casting. If you only give them access to this when they log in, all they're going to see is casting. And so it really gives you that control over who sees what. But we took it a step further actually into the review process as well. And so within each asset, you can actually utilize these teams to create separate private feedback threads. And the way this works is if you open up an asset, and let's say I share this with a couple teams. In this instance, I've got the client team and the editor team. On the right-hand side, you'll actually see these tabs appear for my team, which is kind of the admin team, the client team, and the editor team. And what happens is that within these tabs, I can see all of these because I'm an admin and I can see them. But when the client team logs in, they'll only see the client feedback. When the editor team logs in, they'll only see the editor feedback. So I can jump into each of these rooms, have conversations with people, discuss all their feedback, and it'll be completely private to that team. Now, what's really powerful is, let's say this feedback's been approved. Let's say we want to send this off to the editor. You don't have to copy and paste anymore or jump on a call with them. You can simply go to a comment, click the share button, and then you can share comments directly to any other team. So if I click share, as you can see, this comment has now been shared over into that editor team. So it gives you complete control over the flow of communication without having to create internal and external versions of assets.
That's so smart.
Can you reply and have that go back to the original person, or when you reply there, is it still just inside the editor team?
It would remain just inside the editor team. You can certainly reply to comments, but to make this as powerful as possible, we don't allow any sort of communication from the editor to that client team. So when you set up your teams, it's something to keep in mind. How do you want to segment it? And it enables you to really be the hub so that communication flows through you.
Nate, this is a great walkthrough. Thank you so much for doing it. This is a lot of fun. I think that you're going to influence a lot of people, and there's a lot of people out there who will be checking out Assemble.tv in the near future.
Absolutely, yeah. And one thing to add again at the end here is that we are offering a 1 month free discount for any listeners of the podcast. So just use the code Cinepod, which is CINEPOD, and you'll get 1 free month of the platform.